Hey guys, it's Rich, and welcome back to Dad's Foxbody Garage. Just wanted to do another quick video before we get into something that might be pretty fun tomorrow. There's a swap meet, and yeah, it's still winter here in Michigan, but we still do swap meets. They're indoors though, so looking forward to that. Just wanted to again talk about the projects and where we're going to go with these projects this year. Really looking forward to it. You know, gonna have a little time. Hopefully I have a couple nickels to rub together so I can buy parts, but seems like where there's a will there's a way, you know how that goes. But again, you know, the old Stone Soup Calypso vert here, you know, let's touch a little bit about it in the last video. And you know, basically I built this motor. It was a late 90s Explorer motor. Took it all apart, took it to a machine shop. They honed it, checked it, it was within tolerance, no other machine work was required. Flattened out the decks and pretty much bought like a re-ring kit, a re-bearing kit. Crank was great, everything was in tolerance. A buddy of mine put that all back together, and the heads are GT40P heads. Did the same kind of thing with that. Stripped them all down, sent them off to the machine shop, reground all the valves, seats, the whole thing, and put them together with trick flow springs. So what else? It has a B303 cam. So should sound pretty good. But I think you know, I have it buttoned up with the Performer intake on it, but I think that may change this year. I think I'm going to leave that on there to get it running, but I'd really like to find an old B&M force induction under the hood blower, the old root style, you know, not the centrifugal kind off to the side, but old school draw through, just like I had back in high school. Worked great, loved it. You know, unfortunately, like I said in the first video, it died early death. You know, I had a mechanical problem with a screw that backed out. But I'm going to be looking for one of those tomorrow at the swap meet. And I think I'd also like to find a off-road exhaust for the hatchback. You know, it still has cats. I like to free that up a little bit. And like I said in the previous video, I don't want to do a whole lot to it to make it lose drivability. But I may put a small supercharger on that one as well. You know, the Paxton style, you know, something non-intercooled, just something to get some boost in the thing to wake it up a little bit. But yeah, it's down the road. Big project is this guy here. I'd really like to get it running. So I have some fuel things to wrap up. You know, I gotta anchor the fuel lines underneath. You know, although the fuel line is ran, you gotta get some rubber insulated mounts so I can mount this thing to the underside of the car. Fuel cell is all in. That's pretty good. I picked up the last of my AN fittings today. Let's head around back and I'll show you what's going on back there. So as you can see, nice little fuel cell. Had to flatten out the spare tire well a little bit. I just took a big rubber mallet and kind of made it flat. And then I built the frame. You can see that under there. Built the frame and welded and bolted that to the trunk pan, and then mounted the fuel cell to that. And then fuel tank is, or fuel pump is right under there. That is all mounted as well. But we got to do like the vent and cap off the other fitting there on the fuel cell, and besides the sending unit, that should be pretty good to go. I also want to get the floor patch where I mentioned that the windshield leaked. As you can see the floor through that hole there. I want to do that before I get the dash back in. I pulled the dash so I could not only do this repair easier without that in my way, but when I did the pedal kit, this was an automatic car, so put in a 3-piece pedal kit here. Well, actually it's just a 2-piece. Accelerator doesn't move. That's a different unit. But put that in. So in order to do that, you have to unbolt the brake booster, which when I pulled that off, you know how it goes. Yeah, you might as well replace it. It's off. It looks rusty. Also have to do the cutout around the shifter here. You know, again, automatic 4-cylinder car is a little bit different than a stick car. I found that kind of interesting. I figured they'd all be universal, but apparently that's different. Oh, what else in here? I'm going to do some type of a circuit box with some switches. I got some relays and switches so I can cut off the ignition or the fuel pump if I want to crank it over to build pressure, or maybe I'm working on it and don't want it to start and just want to crank it. But I'll be learning that right along with you guys. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. But I just wanted to say a little bit about myself. I am not a mechanic. I'm actually a journeyman pattern maker, so I'm like a machinist, you'd say. Even though I don't do that anymore. But I'm still involved in the manufacturing field. So anything I do on this channel, don't do as I do. I'm just winging it here, guys. Doing the best I can. I grew up working on stuff. I got my first motorcycle when I was 10 years old, and promptly took it apart and put it back together, and it was all done after that. I started taking everything apart. Like I think when I was 12, I bought a basket case Yamaha 80cc dirt bike, and without a manual, I just started piecing it together. And I guess that's one of my strong suits, is I'm kind of mechanical at that. Got it running. Got my first car when I was 15. My dad and I went and looked at it, and he's like, "Oh, whatever, it's $50." It was a 1980 Pinto, and it was a California car, didn't run, and got it home, got it running, and promptly took that engine apart and kind of mixed it with it was a 2.3 liter 4-speed car. And if any of you Ford guys out there know, the 2.3 liter is the same engine that's in the Thunderbird Turbo Coupe. So we kind of invented our own turbo motor, combining Turbo Coupe exhaust, the hot side, but then I made it carbureted and put meth injection on it. And I think we were somewhere around 200 horsepower in that car, and I think a stock Pinto has 80 or 90, so it weighed nothing. So it was a lot of fun. It was fast. And then over the next 5 years, maybe, I probably had I probably had a dozen cars, that's right. And quite a few Foxbodies. They were just what everybody was doing. I had like a 70 Mach 1 and a 68 Cougar and all these cars, but the Foxbodies were the hot ticket. So I went down that road. I had a 2.8 liter that had a bad motor. It was actually a girlfriend's car at the time, and I'm like, yeah, I got an engine I can throw in there. And it was a 289 hypo that I had on the engine stand. I was actually going to put in the Pinto next, but I ended up putting it in the Foxbody, and it was way too rowdy for her. She hated it, so I ended up buying the engine, or the whole car, off her dad, I believe. But I ended up holding on to that one until I got my first house and sold it, and that was pretty much where cars ended for me for quite a while. But then started getting back into them. You know, I had a Camaro, had an old Jag, you know, a couple neat things. Had a 2010 Mustang, and then I started getting into Porsches for a few years, getting some, you know, older 911s, 986s. They were fun. They're very pricey though, and the last one I had was a 986, and it was great. It was so much fun, a little roadster. But I just felt like I was driving a time bomb. You never know. Even though I replaced the IMS bearing in it, I thought it was going to be a time bomb. So got rid of that and bought the white car. And couldn't be happier. Just love the Foxbody community. Everything's so easy to work on. Kind of feel like I'm going back to my roots, so to speak. So anyway, enough of me rambling. Just wanted to pretty much create an intro to tomorrow for the swap meet. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping I can find a blower. If not, yeah, it'll be fun. And I'm meeting a buddy of mine there, and he's always a riot, so I'm sure we'll have a great time. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.